Welcome along for the ride, everybody. If you're joining us live on ABC7.com and on Facebook Live, taking a live look at, well, it's sort of a pursuit. This was an LA County Sheriff's Department pursuit chasing that white SUV, ended up handing it off to El Monte Police Department, and eventually ended up in this mobile home park. This is the Brookside Country Club, and the suspect is now doing circles. They've actually canceled the pursuit because they seem to have managed to block all of the entrances and exits to this mobile home park, and now they're just watching along as the suspect continues to drive this stolen SUV, basically in circles, doing zigzags through this mobile home complex, again blocking all of the entrances and exits and tracking his movement from above. You can see the sun, night sun there from the LA County Sheriff's Department, who's continuing to track the suspect through here, calling out the shots from above and tracking each and every move. He's doing relatively fast speeds, and that's making it a little bit dangerous, especially in this enclosed mobile home park where folks might be walking around, some people on bicycles even. So a delicate situation for sure, but for the time being, they're going to let him continue this, use up as much gas as possible, and hopefully try and contain him to one corner or another in this complex. So again, we're doing circles around the Brookside Country Club here in El Monte, just south of Valley Boulevard, just west of the 605. Unclear how many people are inside the car. We know obviously the driver. It looks like the rear windows are pretty tinted, so difficult to see inside there. Unclear also whether he's armed or what other details law enforcement is working with, but certainly they want to get this guy off the street. They've managed to contain him to this complex, so the general public outside of the Brookside Country Club is safe, but as he continues to speed through here, certainly raising a lot of eyebrows and raising concern here as they continue to track him. I can tell you that there are only a handful of exits to this complex, and there's a north and a south side, and they seem to have kind of isolated him to the south side. Still a fair amount of real estate to cover as he continues to weave through here. Just to give you an idea, we'll go ahead and throw out our real-time speed tracker, and you can kind of get an idea of how fast he's going. Making that turn there, speeding up a little bit, making another turn here, again doing circles at about 15 to 20 miles per hour. When he hits a straightaway, he'll step on a little bit, but clearly just playing games now, knows that he is being watched. He knows he's got that helicopter overhead. He clearly sees that night sun shining a light on him, and it'll just be a matter of time before he either gives himself up. They have tried to spike the vehicle, and there's a possibility they may have been semi-successful, although it doesn't appear to have hindered the vehicle very much, but there's a good possibility at least one or two of those tires might be on borrowed time. One of those situations that could go on for quite a while, especially if he continues this pattern here. You could see the clubhouse off to the left there with the pool. So basically in the center of this mobile home park, and again, just making some unpredictable turns here as he weaves his way through. Once again, we are in the city of El Monte. El Monte Police blocking all of the entrances and exits to this mobile home park, and also the LA County Sheriff's Department on scene as well. Again, this was their pursuit that they initiated with the stolen vehicle. Look at him going almost directly over that spike strip, actually, but really coming close to that black and white as well. So he definitely hit that spike strip. We'll see if that slows him down at all. It looked like a pretty successful spike from up here, but we'll just have to wait and see. Again, looks like he's slowing down a little bit. Looks like he's losing a little bit of steering control as well. 25, 30 miles per hour. Again, unpredictable turns here, and a relatively quiet night. Not a lot of street lights in this neighborhood, but certainly the possibility of people walking around and walking their dog and riding their bike, a distinct possibility. We've seen or had reports of a couple of people doing just that, but no collisions yet that we know of by this suspect, who's continuing to drive very erratically through here. It's been going on for the better part of a half hour. Again, just doing circles in this immediate vicinity as he continues down Evergreen Street onto Brookside over to Elliott. He's been kind of just zigzagging his way through here and really just buying time, because it's only a matter of time before they eventually corner him in here. I would imagine they are, actually I can tell you for sure, they are trying to contain him into a specific region of this complex, but in order to do that, they're going to have to wait for him to make the right moves. Again, he's been around this block several times already, back on Riverside. Once again, if you're just joining us on Facebook Live and ABC7.com, taking a live look at a stolen SUV that's now weaving through this mobile home park to the Brookside Country Club here in El Monte. This was an LA County Sheriff's Department pursuit, started just about 45 minutes ago and ended up handing it off to the El Monte Police Department before he turned into this apartment, or this mobile home complex, where he's basically just traveling in circles. He's on borrowed time. He's already hit a couple of spike strips, but he's now been in this mobile home complex for about a half hour or so. Again, doing about 20 to 30 miles per hour, making very erratic turns, and driving very recklessly through here. So far, there haven't been any collisions, but certainly a lot of concern here for the folks who live in this neighborhood. You can see it's relatively dark, not a whole lot of street lights. There are a few, but it's very precarious. And without the lights and sirens behind him, very easy for him to sneak up on an unsuspecting pedestrian. So what they've done is they've managed to block all of the exits and all of the entrances to this complex. They've actually contained him to the southern half of the complex. But again, he still has plenty of roadway to play with, certainly exerting a lot of gas though. So after a couple of spike attempts, it actually appears that they haven't really done much damage. In fact, the reports from the ground are that all four tires are in pretty good shape. So this could continue for quite a while. Again, we don't know how much gas he's got on board. The biggest concern, can't stress enough, the biggest concern is for any pedestrians or anybody who may be just pulling out of their driveway, unsuspecting of this wild driver who's speeding through here. Again, only 25 to 30 miles per hour, but on these narrow streets in this very quiet neighborhood, that is faster than you would expect somebody coming down out of nowhere. So he's again making erratic turns, weaving his way through here, mainly doing big wide circles around the southern half of the Brookside Country Club. We've seen him actually do circles around the actual country club itself, which is right there on the left-hand side of your screen, coming up to another intersection where a unit is waiting for him. Look at that. Some of the residents at the country club there are actually filming this on their cell phones. Very dangerous, not a smart move at all. You saw how closely he came to those pedestrians who were taking out their cell phones and trying to catch a glimpse of this pursuit. Again, it's technically in tracking mode, surveillance mode. The pursuit was technically called off, but it's really a matter of semantics. You can clearly see that LA County Sheriff's Department helicopter has their night sun squarely trained on that stolen vehicle, and there are a number of black and whites, mostly El Monte PD resources, that have scattered around here, scattered across this property and surrounded the property in many instances at all of the exits. So he really can't get out. He's somewhat trapped in this mobile home complex. But the danger is real for anybody who lives in this neighborhood, for sure. Back onto Riverside, another right turn on Acorn Street. Again, he's been on all of these little tiny streets several times over already, and you can see the closest unit now as he makes his way, it makes a right turn there. He's going to come up on that other police car, and you saw he just whips it right around, making a right turn back towards Riverside. Let's take a minute, Rob, and widen out and kind of see if we could spot some of those entrances and exits where they have the actual roadway blocked off. You can see the helicopter on the right-hand side. You can see they have Brookside Avenue. Actually, that's going to be Parkway Drive. Parkway Drive at Elliott Avenue shut down there. So that's where they've kind of cut this complex in half, preventing him from going into the north side of the complex. As we go back over towards the vehicle, you can see he's just mainly concentrated in this immediate vicinity, doing circles around just about a 4 or 5 square block area, and these are very small blocks with only about a dozen or so mobile homes on each block. So not a lot of room for him to move around. He's definitely feeling a little bit of pressure. But as long as they let him travel in circles, he's going to continue to use as much gas as you would expect. Maybe a Honda CR-V or Toyota RAV4 possibly. Compact SUV with an unknown amount of gas in the tank. Was traveling much faster earlier, but now again, we should reiterate, about 15, 20, 30 miles per hour. Look at him just going right past these police cars, and they're not really doing a whole lot to interfere with him. They're just letting him exert as much energy as possible and keeping a really close eye on him. The thinking there is that if they continue the pursuit and start pulling up behind him or threatening to do a pit maneuver. Look at this, head-to-head with El Monte police there, just goes right around him. He's continuing to drive very recklessly through here. It's going to get much more dangerous, and they know it. If they pull up behind him and they try and take any aggressive tactics to try and end this pursuit, you look at that. Once again, coming up to this intersection with 2 more black and whites right behind him, another spike strip. We'll see if it was successful. No spike strip, no spike strip. So he, that officer just backed right out of the way when he saw that car coming towards him, just to really stress how dangerous this is. Again, he's making these turns without really knowing what's on the other side around the corner. Some of these hairpin turns actually in this complex. When you take those turns at 30 miles per hour, it's very dangerous no matter what. Yeah, I thought that was a spike strip earlier, but that El Monte police officer looked like he actually had his gun drawn as the vehicle came kind of barreling towards him. Yep. Yeah, we've seen a couple of spike attempts already, and you saw just a moment ago. He came very close with some of those black and whites. Most of these officers do have spike strips in their trunk already, so there was no need to call in for any CHP units. But these El Monte police officers have the resources they need here. It's just a matter of letting him establish a pattern or taking the right opportunity when he comes towards them unexpectedly. If they could throw out that spike strip in time, they can make a lot of progress in putting those tires to sleep. So it is indeed an older model Honda CRV that's being pursued here. Again, a stolen Honda CRV, and it looks like that front left tire might actually be losing quite a bit of air, so that one of those recent spike strips may have been semi-successful. Very difficult to tell. Obviously very dark out here, so it's challenging to say the least, but it does look like that front left tire is struggling just a little bit. We've seen a little bit of wobbling in the steering as well. Throughout all of this, we haven't seen many people out, and we haven't seen any other cars out on the road here. Now, again, we're talking about just a 4 or 5 square block area that he's doing circles in, and many of these people may already be alerted to the fact that this is going on in their neighborhood, but certainly many of them may not be. And so for that, yeah, look at that front left tire. He's really on, doesn't have much rubber left. It looks like he's riding the rim as he makes these turns now. So he's down to the rim on the front left tire, and you can kind of tell, as I mentioned, you can just kind of tell by the steering that the vehicle is not behaving perfectly by any means. But look at him, he just kind of is continuing along here, doing that same circle over and over as the LA County Sheriff's Department tracks him from above. And El Monte police have this entire neighborhood completely surrounded. Nothing more than a joyride for this driver at this point, just hoping that nobody gets hurt in the process. Again, continuing to travel in circles near the Brookside Country Club is where we are in South El Monte. It's or in El Monte proper, I should say. Just west of the 605, south of Valley Boulevard, is where all of this is taking place. El Monte police rather have been able to contain this suspect to a southern portion of the neighborhood, and so once again he's continuing to do circles around this neighborhood, wide loops. Ending up on the same streets over and over again, and now as he continues to establish a pattern, and look at this, coming to a stop suddenly, a sudden stop on Birch Street, putting it in reverse back onto Oak Drive, backing onto Oak. Thought twice of it because he saw that officer at the end of Birch there, so he's like, wait a minute, let's back it up, and so now he's onto Ash Street, but he sees, look at another one, just goes right around him. Right around these cop cars. slowing down a little bit. Once again, looks like he sees law enforcement at the other end of the block. That's Oak. That's actually Birch Street once again. So we were just here. That same turn off of Oak. He tried to make that same mistake, did it twice, put it in reverse, and now coming out onto Ash Street once again. He's going to start to get bored, I would imagine. But certainly exciting for all of us up here. You can see he's continuing to drive through this neighborhood well, now it looks like he's speeding up just a little bit again, back on to Brookside and going around that officer, coming very close here. Look at this, look at that, almost hit the front left corner of that black and white, came really close there. If he continues that, he's really going to amp things up here and put himself in a position where they may be forced to use force on this suspect. So if he starts to pose any kind of a danger to these officers, believe me, this situation can escalate very, very rapidly from a joyride to something much, much more serious. So we'll see how this shakes out here. But with driving like that, this certainly has the potential to get very dangerous. There are reports he might be tossing something out the window. I did not see that, but that is something that we're hearing. So continuing around the same streets over and over again, he's doing big circles back onto Riverside. Clearly aware that he's running out of options. And worth mentioning again that front left tire is basically gone. So the wheels are on borrowed time here. He's riding the front left rim of this older model Honda CR-V, stolen out of LA County. LA County Sheriff's Department initiating the pursuit in their Temple City division. Now back onto Peach Street, so slowing down a little bit here, back to Riverside. All of these streets, the same half dozen streets or so that we've seen him traveling over and over again. Now making that left turn. He's forced to make that left turn back onto Peach Street. Looks like there might have been another spike strip there. Could tell you that El Monte PD is sending more resources into this neighborhood. So they're calling for additional backup. They're getting more units in place here. I would imagine they're going to try and contain him to an even smaller section of this mobile home park. Again, they don't want to agitate him too much, especially after that move that we just saw a couple of minutes ago, coming really, really close with one of those El Monte PD officers, at least coming close to the patrol car, really squeezing through between one of the homes and the car just to make a right turn. And now he's coming to a stop once again. We're on Brookside, deciding to put it in reverse and make a left turn onto Cedar Street. Ooh, it looks like a tire just rolled off. The tire just rolled off. It looks like it came from the left side of the car. I would imagine that might be that front left that was flat. That tire just rolled right off into the front yard of that home, and now he's come to a complete stop. This is the first time we've actually seen him sit still like this, and it looks like we see hands coming out of the driver's side window. So it looks like he's decided that enough is enough. He's had enough fun for one night, and it looks like he's showing signs of surrendering here. So they're going to get units in position, letting the ground units know that his hands are out the window, and they will move in and hopefully take this person into custody without any further incident. But man, he really was testing the patience of these law enforcement officers, both with the LA County Sheriff's Department and the El Monte Police Department. But it looks like that's enough fun for one night, and he is finally ready to give it up. There you can clearly see He's done. He is done. As we magnify those hands out the window, saw that tire rolled off, and look at that front left wheel. I mean, he really wasn't going to get much farther. Nothing left but the rim there. Now he's waiting patiently. Here comes a unit right behind him. That officer out of his vehicle, I presume with his gun drawn. Yep, his gun is drawn, aimed squarely at the driver, waiting for more backup before they approach the vehicle and ask him to step out of the vehicle. Probably telling him to shut the vehicle off. Once again, hope you're having a pleasant Wednesday evening. Welcome if you're joining us on Facebook Live and ABC7.com and our ABC7 app. You're taking a live look at what appears to be the end of a wild, bizarre pursuit. Relatively manageable speeds, but contained to a mobile home park in the city of El Monte, just doing circles for the better part of the last 45 minutes until finally that front left tire ran over a spike strip and really gave out on him. That tire came flying off just a couple minutes ago, and the suspect finally decided to bring the stolen older model Honda CR-V to a complete stop here, now waiting for law enforcement to take him into custody. It was a wild joyride, definitely testing the patience of law enforcement here. Excellent teamwork between the El Monte Police Department and the LA County Sheriff's Department. And now comes the driver's side door. The driver's side door is open, still showing his hands, slowly about to exit the vehicle, and we'll see how this plays out here. But it certainly appears that there is a willingness to give it up finally, and good choice on his part, because the way he was driving certainly could have been much more dangerous and could have resulted in real injury, especially with in a quiet neighborhood like this with people walking around. We haven't seen many people walking around. It's definitely a quiet night, but certainly could have been much worse. And you can see he's now stepping backwards in the direction of police officers with his hands up, following their instructions. There he is. Law enforcement now taking him into custody, and this pursuit is over. Now they want to go ahead and approach that vehicle carefully, because they don't know if there's anybody inside. So they're going to methodically approach the vehicle. An arrest team will slowly step up and check inside with their flashlights and confirm that there is nobody else inside the car. It appears to be that he was alone, but we won't know for sure until they clear the car. And it looks like they have given the code for the all clear. The vehicle is empty. The driver has been taken into custody, and that will do it for our coverage of this El Monte police pursuit here on a Wednesday night. Hope you had a good time watching, and stay tuned for the next one.